targets and commitments to finance adaptation and emissions reduction in the developing world, as well as setting clear and strong safe climate targets. I'll talk about targets very briefly now. In the lead up to Copenhagen, many countries have taken their targets to the meetings and put them on the table. As you know, our federal government has offered a range of targets ranging from a local 5% cut in emissions by 2020 through to a better but still inadequate 25%. An international project called the Climate Action Tracker has added up all the targets from around the world that countries are offering. And they find that if every country met the targets that are on the table at the moment in Copenhagen, we would have at least 3.5 degrees of warming, which would lead to runaway catastrophic climate change. So we know we're not doing nearly enough, and we're a long way from a safe climate deal. And we all know that Kevin Rudd likes to spend time on the international stage rubbing shoulders with world leaders. Well, here's his big opportunity to deliver on the global stage. We give him permission to stay in Copenhagen for as long as it takes. In fact, our message to Kevin Rudd here today is that we don't want to see you back in the country until we have a safe climate deal. So what should we be doing? In theory, it's easy to outline what we need to do. We can stop wasting energy. We can shift our electricity production to renewable energy as quickly as possible. We can stop cutting down the world's forests. We can remove subsidies to pollute. We can move people and goods differently. And we can change the way we produce and consume things to tread more lightly on the planet. And in practice, we know that doing all this won't be easy, but I reckon it's worth it. As we know, change happens through community action and political leadership. Next year we have a state and a federal election. We need to ensure that we get the leadership that we need on climate change. Now, I've had a crack at the leadership that we've had from our governments, but that's only been allowed to happen because the coalition oppositions have been in complete disarray on climate change. At best, they've been missing in action. At worst, and I'm quoting our alternative Prime Minister here, climate change is complete crap. They think that. Nationally, we need to move on from the schmozzle over the carbon pollution reduction scheme. We need a price on carbon, but not at any price. Not at the cost of a scheme that props up the biggest polluters and doesn't reduce emissions until sometime after 2030, according to Treasury estimates. For both the state and federal elections, we need to focus on measures that will reduce emissions immediately. For instance, retrofitting millions of homes and offices to save energy and water. Increasing our renewable energy targets, eliminating land clearing and clearing of old growth forests, and of course, shutting down the most polluting power stations like Hazelwood and Yallourn. Shutting down those power stations, but at the same time developing alternative jobs and industries in those areas that are going to be hard hit like the Latrobe Valley. That's our work plan for this year, and hopefully it's many of yours as well. And of course, in remaking our community and economy in Australia, there are hundreds of thousands of clean energy jobs to be created and billions of dollars to be saved in energy savings, making buildings more energy efficient. So we've heard a number of really sobering stories, but there are also uplifting, exciting stories. Here's three of them very briefly. The cost of solar panels has fallen by 30% in the last 12 months because countries like Germany and Spain have developed massive markets for solar power. Germany has created 280,000 jobs in renewable energy over the past 7 jobs, many of them in areas that have been affected by a move away from coal mining. Since last year's just locally, Australia's first community-owned and operated wind farm is set to begin construction in a matter of months near Dalesford in Victoria. So change is happening. We need to force it further and faster, and to do that we'll need to work together to build the movement, organise ourselves and demand that our representatives represent us. So good on you for coming out today. Please make sure that this isn't your only interaction with the climate movement. Please join a local climate action group. All the details of the groups that exist and how to find them are on the Environment Victoria website. Please join an environment group. And finally, before I give you a few instructions about what we do as we're about to set off and walk, and at the risk of sounding like a poor Barack Obama impersonator, we need to remain hopeful, remembering the famous words of US trade unionist Cesar Chavez, who said that hope is believing in spite of the evidence and then watching the evidence change. Thank you. So what we're going to do now in just a moment is head off to Princess Bridge. There are marshals at the front of the walk. Can I please ask that you listen to their instructions? As we get down to Flinders Street, we'll stop the walk for some photos, heading straight up Swanson Street. It's going to be an amazing sight with 30, 40, 50,000, I don't know how many people are here, but it's a huge crowd. When you get to Princess Bridge, there will be marshals who will be asking you to join letters. Please listen to their instructions, and once you're in a letter, please say